Most of you guys know that PSA has shut down their value services. No longer are they accepting bulk services and a few of the other tiers. Pretty much, if you want to submit to PSA right now, you're going to be spending between $80 to $100 per card to submit. It is going to really shake things up. And there's a lot of speculation going on what's going to happen with this. And I think we can look to the past to kind of give us an idea of what's going to happen. A lot of times the past rhymes with the present or the future. So the reason why I say we need to look to the past is because this has happened before. Most of the guys that are speculating about this stuff weren't around for what was going on post-COVID. There was a giant boom in COVID. It wasn't just in sports, but it was mainly in sports. And people were really speculating on prospects and sending in base cards from every Hall of Famer or future Hall of Famer. And the prices were nuts. Everything was going crazy at that time. So PSA was quite a bit smaller in their capacity back then. And they got really backed up. Things really started hitting the fan. And they did the same exact thing. They raised prices. They slowed turnaround times. And eventually, they halted all of it. They stopped it altogether. And there was a 5-month period where they did not accept submissions coming in at all. So now, basically, they have 5x the daily output of what they can put out since then. They have slowly and steadily grown to be able to accept more and more cards. And now they are all the way up to a 10 million card backlog. That is so many cards. And they want to cut that in half. And they're predicting that that is going to take them roughly 4 months to do that. So we are not going to have an option for a cheap submission service for our cheap cards. So this has happened, as I said, in the past before. So what happened last time? All right, as I said before, short term, everybody was sending everything. And this was mainly in sports. Now it's in Pokemon. But it's kind of rhyming. A lot of the same things are happening now. People are sending all of their Pokemon cards. They are sending, I'm going to say, no-name characters. There's anything that is an illustration rare. Not the higher dollar special illustration rares, but just the basic illustration rares. Everybody is sending them. And I compare that similar to what was going on with the rookie cards back in the COVID era. You know, people were speculating on basketball players and sending every rookie player base cards and just flipping them. They were turning $5 cards into $50 cards overnight just by sending so many cards. And what happened was PSA got so backlogged that they had to stop that. So the liquidity stopped. People were expecting those cards to come back, and things got so slow that they weren't coming back at a fast pace. And at that time was basically the peak. When they shut down, that marked the peak of the market. So I hear a lot of people talking about how slabs are going to actually go up in value because there aren't any more coming in. Well, that's not exactly true. There's still 10 million cards that are coming. So last time, slabs saw a 10%, roughly speaking, across the board, a 10% increase, short term. So people were speculating, well, there's no slabs, the slabs are gone, so we got to buy up all of the ones that are already on the market. So they did, and it had a short-term bump. Now, I hear a lot of speculation that the current slabs on the market are going to see an increase, and that very well could be. Honestly, something that is a little bit different from back then is the fact that we have these repackers. We have Arena Club. We have Courtyard IO. We have all of these slab packs that is a gambling aspect. And these repackers need slabs. They need inventory. So that could offset what is going to happen. So that really could keep the market propped up. I could possibly see that happening. But people forget that there's still 10 million cards that are at PSA that are going to be coming back to us. So the last time this happened, it was during a softening period, and there were signs that things were cooling down at that time, and this really marked the peak of it. Everything was just insane leading up to this point, and when PSA shut down, it just kind of marked the peak. And over the next year to 2 years, things split by about 50%. All the speculation went away. People didn't have the cash flow to keep up with it. And really, PSA did what they needed to do, which was keep people from sending their base cards and their junk wax to them to get graded and the quick flips. Now, we're in a market right now where Pokemon, that's what most people are doing, is the quick flips, and honestly, it's probably not sustainable, and especially not sustainable with PSA doing this. As I said, it was broadly a sports issue back during the COVID times. Pokemon saw a little bit of it, but it was not nearly the hype that we have right now with Pokemon. So I personally lived through this. A lot of guys that are in this now didn't really live through this. There are so many more new customers and new people in this. So I'm just letting you know exactly what happened back then, and it marked the peak. So I could see this possibly rhyming with that. Now, like I said, the only thing that I could see that possibly could keep this propped up is the repackers. The repackers are still going to need inventory as long as people are still excited about ripping slab packs. But 10 million cards in the PSA backlog is going to be coming back to us. So I think that's going to catch up. PSA really will have the time to focus on that backlog and get the cards out to us. So really think about it this way. There are going to be 5 million, at a minimum, 5 million cards coming back in new slabs. 5 million brand new cards coming back to us. That is going to affect the market. And honestly, they should start coming back to us a little bit faster now that they're focusing on that. So I personally believe this is going to be a slowdown. I think this is the start of the slowdown. I've been predicting a slowdown at some point soon, and this seems like it very well could be. Or not. It's very possible with the hype that is still here and the fact that we have repacks buying as many slabs as we do. It's very possible that it could keep us propped up through this period, and we might just go boom even more. Now, I don't want to say up, down, sideways, but it's possible. Up, down, sideways. Anything is possible. But I'm just looking back on the past and seeing exactly what happened in the past, and that's kind of my take, is I think this is probably going to slow things down. Now, I will say from my stance, I do grade cards for customers. I do a pre-grading service, and I submit cards for customers. And I've had several customers that have been sending me stuff, and I've got stuff on the way to me right now. And I have a few days, I have this weekend where I can push through as much of that as I can. I've probably got, I'll probably be going through about 400 cards this weekend, trying to figure out what should be sent before this shutdown happens. And guess what? I'm not the only one. A lot of people are going to be doing that. And I tell you what, a lot of people are going to be sending to other grading companies to try to make up for this. And last time this happened, everybody got backed up. And it made it worse for everyone. SGC was a big thing back then. And they got so backed up that their backlog took them a year to work through. Now, really, the only competition that we have that's outside the PSA umbrella is CGC and TAG. And TAG has already shut down their services. They already shut down all of their value services, and you have a minimum of $150 per card to send into TAG right now. So they're not really an option. So CGC is it. Now, my prediction is the same thing that happened to SGC in the past. They are going to get slammed. People want these graded cards. They want that constant flow. And with PSA not having that option, I have a feeling that CGC is going to get slammed. Now, I am personally going to hold back for a little bit and see how all this shakes out before I go and offer my customers the opportunity to submit with CGC. And myself, for that matter. I'm patient. I've been in this market for a very long time. Well, not a very long time. I've been in it for roughly 7 to 8 years. So I have the patience to go through with all of this. And I'm not going to get myself all worked up about what's going on. And I don't think you should either. Just allow this to shake itself out and see where it goes. That being said, I have 400 cards to go through this weekend and possibly send in, we'll see, maybe 200 of those will be going into PSA before the shutdown. It is nice that they gave us this little opportunity to send in what we want before the shutdown, but it's just going to cause more of a backlog. And I've got a feeling over this weekend, they're probably going to get 1 million to 2 million more cards added to their backlog because people are going to be sending them in. And I'm not the only one that's considering doing that. All right, so what do you guys think? I know most of you guys haven't been around for this type of thing, and I'm just telling you what I experienced in the past. And I was submitting back then as well. And I got caught. Well, a lot of people got caught. I got caught a little bit in it, but a lot of people got caught with their pants down, man. Everybody was sending everything, and I was sending stuff that I shouldn't have been sending as well. And when those cards came back and the orders came due, I had these giant prices, or these giant submission numbers that I had to pay, and the cards were worth about 50% of what they were when I sent them in. So that is something to consider when you're pushing all this stuff off, is this could be the start of a correction. So be considerate of what you're sending. If you're sending in $5 cards to this bulk service and paying $25 per card, $30 per card, whatever it might be, consider what you're sending and the fact that it might not be worth $150 when you get that card back. It might be worth $50. It might be worth $40, even if it is a 10. All right, what do you guys think? How many of you agree with me? How many of you disagree with me? Are we going to have a short-term bump in slab prices? Are we going to have a long-term bump in slab prices? It's really hard to say. It's all speculation because we haven't gone through it yet, but we have gone through it in the past. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you checking me out, as always, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.